Hi, welcome to Phoenix Art Workshop Studio. Here's how I approach drawing the portrait. This is a quick 5 to 10 minute drawing, but I start with the same approach, whether I am doing a quick study or a final painting. I start with the three main shapes or masses of the head: the cranial mass, the facial mass, and the mass of the neck, or the cylinder of the neck. I don't just place the shapes randomly on the page. I look for the relationship of these shapes to their axis lines. The horizontal line formed by the ridge of the brow, the most forward portion of the cranium, and the center line down the forehead between the center of the eyes, the mouth, the nose, the chin. Notice the angle of the axis lines and their relationships on the right side of the line compared to the left side. They're not equal. After I have these relationships correct, I can begin subdividing these shapes and looking for spatial relationships between features. I'm not drawing features at this point, only looking for relationships of spaces. In other words, this compared to that, and this compared to that. It's super important that we find where the features are placed before we actually draw the features. Here I look at the relationship of space between the base of the nose and the ridge of the brow, compared to the base of the nose to the chin, and where the ears line up in relationship to the ridge of the brow and the base of the cranial mass, or the nose, or the mouth, for example. In upcoming videos, we'll explore these relationships in a bit more depth. Now I can start blocking in the features, but always paying attention to the space and shapes around the features, the angles from one shape or space to another. This constant comparison of shapes and angles and relationships gives me the confidence to draw quickly and accurately. Again, we will look more closely at drawing the features in the later videos, but for now, notice how I block in the features without getting bogged down in the details, but rather paying attention to the angles, direction, planes, and shapes that the features form, rather than the features themselves. As I move down the portrait and start articulating the feature of the mouth, I'm looking for specific angles, how that relationship of the corner of the mouth lines up with the eyes, for example, or the edges of the nose, and then start looking for specific planes that are created by the upper lip, lower lip, or beneath the lip. As I continue and I'm satisfied with the location of all the features, I can then go start hardening some shapes by making some lines darker and others softer. Hard lines come forward and soft lines retreat, giving a sense of space or three-dimensionality to my drawing. As I begin to define shapes a little more clearly and harden the lines, I'm careful not to harden too many lines, as this tends to break up your drawing by stopping the eye in too many places. I connect a lot of the areas of the face using the shadow, so pay close attention to the light direction and allocate a value to the planes that are falling away from the light. it's time to add the whites to my portrait. Adding these whites with a white pastel, I can control the intensity of light by pushing harder or softer on my pastel. Notice how I'm looking for planes of light or light shapes in the face, saving the brightest whites for the actual highlights where the light is being most reflected back to the viewer's eye. Final stage, I can crispen up some edges, make darker darks, and really bring into focus my portrait. Well, that's it. Thank you for joining us for our 8-minute drawing of Dr. Martin Luther King. Don't forget to subscribe here for more helpful tips in the weeks to come.